Okay guys, so let's jump into solving some equations. So if you need some help, remember a few things to note. Solving inequalities is the same as solving equations with two major differences, right? The first is if we multiply or divide by a negative number, right? Then our inequality changes direction. Okay, well, depending on which way it's facing. Also, that our answer means more than one number, right? Means many numbers, just based on the nature of less than or greater than. Okay. Other than that, everything else is the same. So we take a look at number 1, and we've got negative 24 is less than 2b plus 4. Okay. So if I'm thinking about this, I think 2 times b, then plus 4 is what we do to it. So first thing I'm going to do is subtract 4. Negative 24 minus 4 is negative 28. Doesn't affect our inequality because we're adding or subtracting. Okay, equals 2b. Divide by 2. Negative 28 divided by 2 is negative 14. I didn't divide by a negative number. I divided into a negative number. So it stays the same, and we get b. Okay, number 4. If I knew what n was, it'd be n divided by 2 plus negative 5. So I'm going to do the opposite first in reverse order. Add positive 5. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. Getting ahead of myself. Okay, is greater than or equal to n over 2. So times by 2 now. We get negative 6 is greater than or equal to n. Again, this number is positive, so I don't change our inequality. Okay. Number 5. If we knew what x was, first we would add 4, then divide by 3. So I'm going to start by timesing by 3. Getting 15 is greater than, that becomes 1. So 4 plus x, because timesing by 1 does nothing. Subtract 4, and we get 11 is greater than or equal to x. Okay. Now, if we jump back up to number 2, here we would again times by 10 first to get rid of that fraction. So negative 10 is greater than or equal to negative 6 plus p. Add 6. Negative 4 is greater than or equal to p. Okay, number 3. Subtract by 7 first. 5 is less than or equal to negative a. That's like negative 1. So divide by negative 1, and we get negative 5 equals a, not equals, but this time now we can see we're timesing or dividing by that negative number. Okay, so now my inequality is going to have to change directions. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at that way. Number 11, we would subtract by 6 first, giving us 5 is less than or equal to b over 4, times by 4 on both sides. And we get 20 is less than or equal to b. Okay, so again, we can see the slight differences and recognizing that these answers are more than one possibility, right? Because if you have 20 is less than or equal to b, that means your answer can be anything that's 20 or above, which that ends up being a lot of different numbers, doesn't it? Okay, number 7, we would add 3 to both sides, giving us 45 is greater than or equal to 9n, because that became 0, and adding 0 does nothing. Divide by a 9, and we get 5 is greater than or equal to n, because that becomes a 1. Timesing by 1 does nothing. Number 8, 2 different ways we can attack this problem. We can start off by dividing by 5, because there's nothing else out here. That would give us n minus 1 is greater than negative 40 divided by 5 would be negative 8. Add 1. We get negative 7 is less than n. The other way would be to use distribution. Okay. If that were the case, we'd be timesing 5 by n. So we get 5 times n, then timesing 5 by negative 1, giving us negative 5. We'd add 5 to both sides, giving us negative 35 is less than 5n. Divide by 5, and we still end up with the same answer, because that's the way it works. Number 9, we're going to multiply both sides by 7. That becomes 1. N minus 10 is less than negative 14. Add 10. N is less than negative 4. And number 10, again, we can treat it like we did number 8. Divide by 7 first. To get 10 plus p is less than or equal to negative 4. Subtract 10. We get p is less than or equal to negative 14. Or distribute and get 70 plus 7p is less than or equal to negative 28. Subtract 70. We get 7p is less than or equal to negative 98, which we divide by 7, and again, that should be negative 14. Okay? We didn't multiply or divide by a negative number here, so we don't need to change any of our inequalities. All right, a few more problems here. Now we're getting more difficult, aren't we? Okay, but we still treat them the same way. Okay, to get the m's on the same side, I could subtract an m from both sides. And this is when, if you don't like to have to divide by those negative numbers, it's a good idea to always make sure you have a positive variable. So whichever way to do that, in this case, if I subtracted by 5m, it would have been a negative because I would have had a bigger number. Okay, but since I'm subtracting just m from both sides, I end up with 4m is greater than or equal to negative 6. Add 10. 4m is greater than or equal to positive 4. Divide by 4. And m is greater than or equal to 1. Number 12, combine like terms. 11 minus 3 is 8. Negative 4 plus 8a is positive 4a. Again, if I wanted a positive variable, I could go like this. Let's say, however, though, that I wasn't paying attention and didn't think about that and decided to go the opposite way. So I subtract 7a. Get negative 1 is greater than 8 minus 3a. Subtract 8. Negative 9 is greater than negative 3a. Divide by negative 3. Now I'm dividing by a negative, so my 3 is going to be less than or equal to, or less than a instead of greater than, because I had to change the direction of my inequality because I divided by a negative number. Okay, number 13. I can add a 3x to both sides, giving us a 5x, and you may have done this one slightly different. It would really just mean the order and the side things end up on, but really, when it comes down to it, you'll end up with the same exact response. Maybe yours was negative 1 is less than or equal to x, but that's the same thing as what we got down here, okay? Those are the same things. 14, 3 and 5 make 8b. So I'm definitely going to want to subtract 5b, aren't I? Giving me 3b is greater than negative 15. Divide by 3, and b is greater than negative 5. Okay, number 15. Now this time we can't just start out by dividing by that negative 7. We're going to have to distribute. So negative 7v plus 56 minus 5v is greater than or equal to 1 minus v. Negative 7 and negative 5 give us a negative 12v. Add v. 11v, negative 11v plus 56 is greater than or equal to 1. Subtract 56. Negative 11v is going to be greater than or equal to negative 55. Divide by negative 11. And we're going to get v positive 5, and this inequality has to change to make it work. Number 16, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6a. 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to add a 6a. That's the way I would do it to get 14a. Add 33. We get 42. So 14a is less than 42. Divide by 14. And that should be a is less than 3. Okay, number 17, negative 7 times 8 is negative 56k. Negative 7 times 3 minus 21, greater than or equal to negative 4k plus 31. Add a 21 to both sides. We get negative 4k plus 52. Add a 4k. We get negative 52k is greater than or equal to 52. divide by negative 52, and we get k is less than or equal to negative 1 because of that multiplying by a negative number. Okay, 8 times n, 8m, 8 times negative 1, negative 8, plus 6m is greater than or equal to 40 plus 6m. Now, I could combine like terms, but also notice, what if I subtract it by 6m? That becomes 0, that becomes 0. I'm left with 8m, and I don't have to do a combining step. So sometimes they'll turn out that it works out just that way. M is greater than or equal to, or just greater than 6. Okay, now these last two we're going to solve as well as graph. Okay, so negative 2 times k, so I've got 3k minus 29 is less than negative 2k plus negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. I'm going to add a 2k to both sides. Give me 5k minus 29 is less than 6. Add 29. We get 5k is less than 35. Divide by 5. And we get k is less than 7. So I go to 7 and draw a circle. I look, is it filled in? Nope, it's less than, no equal to. Is k, so I leave it hollow. Now, do I shade left or right? Is k bigger or smaller? K is less than 7, so k is smaller. Smaller is shading to the left. And there you go to graph it. Okay, last problem, 5 times 8 would be 40 minus 5 times x, 5x, greater than negative 6x plus 36. I could subtract a 40 first, giving us negative 5x is greater than negative 6x minus 4, right? Because 36 minus 40 would be negative 4. Add a 6x to both sides, giving me 1x is greater than negative 4. So x is greater than negative 4. So again, there's no equal to, but let's pretend there was. Okay, so we'd go to negative 4 and draw a hollow circle because there's no equal to. If there was an equal to, then it would be a filled in circle. X is bigger because x is greater, so we shade to the right. Okay, and there we go, guys. There's some dealing with solving inequalities and just too little to remind us how to graph. Okay, there we go.